Hi, I'm Jessica. This is my colleague Jennifer, and we're part of the speech pathology team here at Ann Stork Center. We primarily focus on our early intervention preschool, our private school, the McKay, and our outpatient clinic high ability therapy. Today, we're going to talk about communication, peels, and cord. We're going to focus on core vocabulary and AAC. We're going to introduce and explain why we teach and focus core vocabulary. We're going to define and identify core vocabulary. We'll discuss the benefits and challenges for teaching core vocabulary. We'll also discuss the use of AAC tools to develop language and communication skills for life, as well as highlight activities and ways to target this communication for a variety of communicators.
So what is core vocabulary? Core vocabulary are the most frequently used words that we speak and write. There are 300 to 350 of the most frequent words, and they make up about 80% of the words we say. So some example of core words are pronouns, prepositions, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, demonstratives, and some nouns. Core words can express a wide variety of concepts with just a small number of words, and the remaining 20% is made up of fringe or extended vocabulary, and it varies widely from person to person and is difficult to predict, which we talk about why that is important later. So this is an example of what core vocabulary is. So core vocabulary can be used to communicate a variety of language functions. So you can communicate social. So if you like something, you can request, you can ask for help. You can describe, so you can tell someone to stop, or if it's big or if it's little, you can ask a question. You can be direct if you want something, you don't want something, and you can provide some more information.
Okay, so here you'll see a list of our 100 most frequently used core words. These words make up the majority of the words we use in conversation. They are what we would call the functional words. So if we need help, we would say, I need help, please. I need to go, it's my turn, all kinds of things that would help our individuals communicate functionally in conversation. We like to focus on these words as opposed to just ball, because ball is just one word we want to teach. Go ball, find ball, throw ball, I want the ball. So teaching our core words will help our expand the words that we're teaching, the language that we're teaching, to become more functional. So how do we currently teach core vocabulary, and why do we teach this vocabulary?
So very few therapists and teachers target the understanding and the use of core vocabulary within the context of the classroom and for communication in general. So we typically only focus on fringe, not core vocabulary. So like just said with that example of the word ball, it's much easier to teach ball. It's very concrete. You show a picture of a ball and you pair it with the actual ball. But what does that really, give our users functionality? It doesn't really give them the opportunity to expand. We want to show them throw the ball, put the ball in, give the ball to her, all different ways to use ball functionally. So what is AAC? AAC stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication, and it's used to supplement speech for individuals who have difficulty getting their needs met. So we use all different forms of AAC throughout the day without realizing. So showing a facial expression, smiling versus frowning, using a gesture, so pointing, writing a note to a friend or a coworker, all of these are ways that augment our communication. So AAC can be used with nonverbal speakers or even individuals who can say some words, but they need AAC to help make longer sentences or with unknown conversational partners. So maybe one of our users can say more, but we want them to expand to I want more ball. AAC can be used in all different environments, and we always encourage our children to use them across all settings. So the school, the home, playground, out to eat, and when talking to friends.
So we'll give you some examples of different types of AAC later. We'll show you, but this is just a very basic core board. So it would just be a flat piece of paper with these pictures on it, and they would be used to supplement communication. You'll see there's different colors, and the colors are different organization categories. This one's called the Fitzgerald key. So you'll see adjectives are in blue, verbs are in green, pronouns are yellow, prepositions or social words are in pink, and nouns are usually in orange. This organization, it just helps visual learners be able to find the words quicker. And there's different types of keys. So it all might not actually be organized according to this color code, but there's different ones that do exist.
And then the colors actually also help with the motor planning so that they can remember exactly where the word is.
So this is a high-tech device. So this allows our communicators to get auditory feedback. So they'll push a button, they'll get auditory feedback. We like this because this gives our individuals independence to give themselves the feedback or the model. So if they are working on the word go, they can push it themselves and hear it, as opposed to the manual board. We point to it, we're the ones that say it if the child's not verbal. So this gives them the opportunity to be in charge of giving themselves the model. So they push it, they get the auditory feedback immediately. And we've seen a ton of kids start to use AAC. They have some sounds, very minimal words, and they're just giving themselves that auditory feedback all day long. And it really helps encourage their verbal communication. We've seen them go from nonverbal to verbal with just having the device as access to give themselves those verbal models.
Okay, so why is there limited focus on core vocabulary with AAC device users? So it's often difficult to represent by pictures. So it's really hard to represent put or get or like by a picture. It's way easier to target, I know we keep saying ball, but to target nouns like ball or house or bus. Curriculum is highly focused on academics. So like with circle time, we're talking about colors, the days of the week, the months of the year, the weather outside. And those are just much easier to represent by pictures. Teachers are highly focused on having the student communicate to express their knowledge, typically in a question answer format. So what do you want to do? I want ball, back to the ball. I want cup, I want drink. All of these are easier to show by a picture. With this focus, other aspects of receptive and expressive language skills for communication are typically not targeted and therefore are not practiced and learned by students with disabilities.
Okay, too complicated, true or false? The more button vocabulary that there is, the harder it is to convey your message. This is absolutely false. A lot of times the high-tech devices have a ton of vocabulary on it and people are like, this is really overwhelming. This is too much, too many words, too much information. If you think about it from the perspective of when you're learning to text on your cell phone, at the beginning, you have to actually look, you have to learn where the letters are. Now, if you've been a long-term texter, which I'm assuming we all are at this point, you can do it without even looking. There's a motor memory, it's planned in your head, it's ingrained. You're just typing, you're not even looking. Same thing with typing on a keyboard. The goal is to become natural for our AAC users too, where there's a motor planning and they just can, it's like texting. They can communicate with their thoughts, their messages, with very minimal thinking involved. They just know where those buttons are located just by the motor planning. So it's false. It is not harder.
Okay, here's an example of a core word on. So I'm going to show you how you would teach this word in class and in therapy. So for example, you can use the word on for someone to turn the lights on, show someone he is on the bike. You can have tell someone to hold on or to go sit on their chair or to stand on their feet or to put it on the table. So to give directions or have them put their shoes on. You can also use it with nursery rhymes, the wheels on the bus, or even with direction, following simple one-step directions. Simon says, put your hands on your nose. So here are some more classroom examples of how to teach on. You can shine a flashlight on items in the room and have the students be the director and tell you what or who put the light on. You can dress a doll, a stuffed animal. You can put the clothes on. You can even work on clothes at this point too, but it teaches two things during that. You can work on getting on the swing, getting on the therapy ball, jumping on the trampoline, and you can practice writing on the board or stacking blocks on top of each other. So all of these are great ways that teach the word on.
So here's another example with go. And before, if you remember, Jen was saying that AAC can also be a gesture or a sign. So we could say ready, set, go, and that's the sign for go. So go and stop. Let's go to the playground. So you're giving a visual feedback. So if you don't have a picture, and that is the actual picture that we would use for go, but if you don't have a picture with you, you can use a gesture or a sign just to give more information for the child to hold on to, more exposure to the word. So let's go to the bathroom, ready, set, go. Red means stop, green means go. The car can go fast. So just some examples of how you can incorporate this core vocabulary into activities that you're probably doing already. So what we need to do more of, we need to teach the concept in context. So we're going to go to the bathroom. Instead of just drilling the word go, 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 we want it to be a natural exposure. We want it to be context-based, so in a natural happening environment. So we can set things up in therapy to focus on the word where we're creating an environment where we would need that specific core word. We also need exposure across settings. So it doesn't just mean we use that one word when we're sitting in therapy. It's in the classroom, it's at home, it's with grandma and grandpa, it's on the bus, it's across all settings that are relevant to that child. And everybody's doing it so that they're getting exposure everywhere that they go.
And now we're going to watch a video on core communication.
If you're thinking about buying solar panels, don't. The US government will literally buy them for you if you take 60 seconds.
Your turn. Yes, your turn. That's it. Ready? Push it in. Good job. In, that's it. You put it in. My turn. Ready, set, go. Put it in the hay. Your turn. That's it. Good job. Your turn. Your turn. Take it out. That's it. And put it in. Put it in. Good job. My turn. Ready, set, go. I put it in. It's in the hay. Oh, you like this game. I like this game. You like it too. It's a very good game. Very good game. More? Yeah, good idea. Let's play some more. Is it my turn? Oh, it's my turn. That's it. I'll put it in the hay. Push, push. Oh, it's in the hay. In, that's it. In the hay.
Okay, so this SLP did a really great job of providing aided language modeling. So if you saw that she was just pointing to the words and she was saying the words out loud because he was unable to say them. So like just said before with the manual core board, she was the one providing that auditory feedback. It's important to build in a weight and signal strategy to allow the individual to respond. And by using this approach, you're showing learners that they can communicate in response to others' language. And you don't necessarily have to ask questions. You can just model like she was doing your turn or put or more, and then wait for them to spontaneously comment or request. And then you saw that he said my turn or more on his own. Okay, here's another video on modeling, prompting, and responding.
Push. You want to push the sticks? Sticks, sure. Push. You want your push toy? Or you want sticks? Oh, you want that stick? Trade. Trade. Playing with the sticks. You want to tell me? I saw you looking. Trade. Trade.
My turn. Sticks. That's right. We are playing the sticks. Sticks. We are playing the sticks. We are playing the sticks. Play. Round. Trey. Oh, you're all died on the ground. You can say I want more. Sticks, sure. While we play sticks, should we sing or whistle? No, I can help you. Yes. I can help you with something. Oh, the guitar. I don't have the guitar today. Whistle. Whistle, sure. No. You? Whistle. Whistle. The maracas. Great. We're playing the maracas. Stick. You want the stick?
Okay, so this video incorporates a lot of great strategies. So first of all, the SLP moved the device closer to the patient to give him more opportunities to use the device. She also used the one core word play. She paired it with many fringe words to work on play in a lot of different scenarios. So during one activity, we do this all the time. You can work on one core word the entire time to keep reinforcing the meaning of the word. So an entire session, we might work on drink or more, or just to keep reinforcing that understanding. In the video above, the child is making choices with a high-tech AEC device and the teacher is modeling the use of the device. So frequently you should model communication, just like we model verbal language for children. If the child shows interest in an item or activity, you should prompt the child to request using his device. If they use the device, you should respond to their communication right away and give them what they requested and respond verbally. So in the communication frequently, it prompts AAC, and when the child whines or reaches for a toy, responds promptly to all communication. So now if you're working with a child who is a total communicator, meaning they use a device and have some words, it's important to respond also when they use their words, not just with the device.
So let's put that into perspective. An average 18-month-old child has been exposed to 4,380 hours of oral language at a rate of 8 hours a day from birth. A child who has a communication system and receives speech language therapy 2 times a week for 20 to 30-minute sessions will reach the same amount of language exposure in 84 years. So that is not realistic, and that's why we really stress the importance of using these strategies across all settings. We don't have 84 years to teach a couple of words. We have a very limited amount of time, so we want to really maximize what we do have. Important things to remember. You need to have a word needs to be modeled 50 to 350 times before it's used independently or spontaneously. Typically, developing children start combining 2-word phrases when they have acquired approximately 50 spontaneous expressive words. So we really need to, it's really important that the number of exposures matter in this case. We need to model it just over and over as many times as we possibly can, so that once we get a foundation, we can expand to those 2 words. But it takes a lot longer for our AAC users to get to that point. So the modeling really matters, the exposures really matter, and the environment really matters.
Okay, so team. We've talked a lot about how it's, it has to be across all settings and across all individuals working with the child. So a team must teach individuals who use AAC at the appropriate level for their current needs in a variety of contexts. So like we said, at school, at home, maybe when they go to the park, when they're out to eat, in a variety of ways in meetings, variety of functions. So commenting, asking questions, directing, rejecting, and by frequent modeling, vocabulary, and language targets to teach first tests. So like we keep saying, this cannot be done by one person alone. It has to be across all individuals working with the child. So the parents, the teachers, the therapists, even the babysitters, the grandparents, everyone needs to be involved.
And just to add to that, we want it to be in those natural scenarios versus the teach first test. So we don't want it to be always like a setup situation. We also want it to be natural. Oh, you want to go to the bathroom? Oh, you don't want to play? So that would be requesting and rejecting, and in a natural way. So those natural opportunities are major also, not just in our setup therapy sessions.
Okay, here's one more video on top 3 tips for using AAC at home.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liz, and I'm a speech language pathologist at the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation. And today, I'm going to be giving you my top 3 tips for using augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC, at home. We often hear from parents that they don't use AAC at home because they know what their child is saying. Parents definitely know their child best, there's no doubt. But we can't assume that they don't have more to say. They could have so much more that they want to say. And this gives them practice with their AAC system so that they can use it with other people who are maybe less familiar with them and they might not know what they're saying. So here are my top 3 tips. My first tip is to always have it available. So where is your AAC device? Is it ready to use so that your AAC user can communicate quickly and easily? It's important to give your AAC user access to their system at all times. So this means that it's charged, within reach, or it's always in the same place, especially if your AAC user doesn't access their system independently yet. My second tip is to model, model, model. As we know, children learn how to speak by hearing their parents and the other people around them speak all the time. It's the same with AAC users. They also need to see what it looks like to communicate with an AAC system in their interactions with people. We can't just expect them to learn their AAC device without being shown how to use it. So how do we do this? By pointing to words when you talk with your AAC user. This is called aided language stimulation. You don't need to model every single word you say. Instead, model the most important words. Do this at or slightly above your AAC user's language level. So if they're primarily using gestures or single words to communicate, or are perhaps new to AAC, model single words. And if they are using, a couple words, maybe model 2 to 3 word combinations.
Dog.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I
I
see.
the dog too. What else do you see? You could say,
I see.
I see. Nature, nice.
I see a bush.
A bush. Yeah, I see a big bush too. I know. I don't know where it goes either. Is it over here or over here? Yeah. Good job. Only about 1,000 more pieces. Oh, she is singing. She is singing. This song is bad. Once you feel comfortable with their device and modeling with it, find motivating opportunities to use it in your daily routine. Creating more opportunities means your AAC user will learn to use their device faster. Not to mention, this could help them generalize these skills, learning to use their device in different activities and with different people. What should we have for dinner tonight?
I want
To eat. Sushi. Yeah,
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Good choice. Hey, Zach, what should we do today?
I
want
Play.
to play. Play.
Oh, guitar. You could go to groups. Music.
Oh, here.
Guitar.
Hmm.
I want to play guitar.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Don't like that. Stop. Please.
Thanks again for taking the time to learn about how you can support communication at home.
So I really like this video because it talks about the 3 tips. So making sure your AAC device is always accessible, modeling the device, and using it in natural environments. So like we've stressed throughout this entire presentation, it's important to use the device in really natural environments and circumstances so that they can generalize the skill. So teaching, with the puzzle, or teaching with getting something out of the fridge, that's the only really the way that they will generalize the skill. I also like this video because it shows an individual who can talk, but doesn't have all the words. So it helps to expand his sentences. So like when they were looking outside and he said nature. So she said, "You're right, I see nature." So this is just a great example showing how to use this device with individuals who can talk.
All right, so we're going to talk about some tips for facilitation. We're always going to start with new users to use as many models as we possibly can. So that's pointing to the picture, activating the cells. We want to start with aided language simulation. So that's the modeling like we just talked about. Make sure that you're creating circumstances that are highly engaging and motivating. We want it to be fun so that we can get the child to basically buy into using the device. If it's motivating for them, the chances of them doing it are way higher. We want to make sure that we're prompting them from least to most. So you don't want to just, like that first video of the little boy with the device, she took his finger and pushed it. He was probably a relatively new user. We want to decrease that as we go. So we can start with picking up their finger and pushing the device, but we want to ultimately reduce that. So we're either pushing it, or you could see in that video, she was pointing, telling him where to push. So she was having him do the motor planning. So those are some examples of things that we want to do when we're progressing through the prompting hierarchy. So just some final thoughts. We hope that this presentation gave you some insight on how to incorporate some functional communication with your communicators at home, whether they're verbal, they're using signs, they have severe articulation difficulties, making their speech very difficult to understand. We can use these types of strategies with all types of communicators, and we hope that that was conveyed. Also, different environments, different users, as many models as we possibly can. We want to create those opportunities for that functional communication to be learned.
And if you have any questions, here's our emails, and please feel free to email us
At any time.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to show you some different types of AAC that we discussed in the presentation. You can see this one is one of the most basic forms. It has no color. There's really no organization to it. It just has some very basic core vocabulary. So yes, no, stop, go, more, help, you, me, wait. So we would use these to point during conversation. This would be for a beginner or very basic communication. Just if you have this on hand as something extra just to supplement your communication. This is the most similar to the high-tech device, but it's the manual core board. So it has all the words that a lot of the words that you would see on the device, but it doesn't give you that auditory feedback. So we would have to be the auditory feedback. So love, you're the one that's giving the voice to the words by pointing. So the child or the individual can point to them, but you're the one giving the auditory feedback. So this is what we would call PECS, Picture Exchange Communication System. It mostly focuses on fringe vocabulary, but we added a sentence strip at the top. So this would have our core vocabulary, I want, the child would pick it up and say, to indicate bubbles, they would put it here, and then that would be your complete sentence. I want bubbles, please. And then we have all kinds of different options in here. So that's another method. And then these would be this would be the high tech, but the vocabulary in this, so this would be for someone who doesn't necessarily, the technology is too much. So either they're overstimulated by the screen, they're distracted by the screen, for whatever reason, and there's lots of reasons, the electronic version doesn't work for them. This is the static version. So it has almost all the vocabulary that the high-tech device would have. It's just in a static form. So again, you would have to be the voice behind this. And here we have the high-tech device. So you'll see if we push.
I want help.
So I want help there. That's a perfect example.
I want help.
I want help. So there's the functional communication of the high-tech AAC. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us.